whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. Inbound traffic at a heavy level this morning. All across the valley, we're looking at bumper-to-bumper traffic. You be careful on your ride in. Got a few areas of fog, but I don't think that's going to be a major problem for your ride in this morning. Popeye's 3-piece snack is only $4.99. You get 3 pieces of that crispy tender chicken and a buttermilk biscuit. Popeye's, University and Jordan, 72 and Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeye's Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Not a bad Tuesday afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Some of us are going to get to enjoy a little bit more sunshine than others. Those that see a little more sunshine are going to have an easier time climbing into the lower 90s. Those that see a little more cloud cover should only hang out in the mid-upper 80s. A couple of isolated showers are going to be possible this afternoon, but at the end of the day, most of us are going to stay dry. We'll be warm as we head into the overnight. Lows only drop into the upper 60s and lower 70s. A little more cloud cover for your Wednesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This Action Update is brought to you by Keeps. Tired of losing your hair? Get 50% off for your first order at Keeps.com/VSiN. Keeps.com/VSiN.
Baseball, the Braves at the Pirates tonight. Atlanta minus 170 on the money line on the road. Pittsburgh plus 155. The over-under 8.5. Ian Anderson getting the start for the Braves against Chad Kuhl for the Pirates. Tonight, game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Phoenix Suns at home against the Milwaukee Bucks, likely without their star player in game 1. Giannis doubtful, still recovering from a hyperextended knee. Milwaukee a 6-point road underdog. The over-under 218.5. The Canadiens survived and avoided the sweep in the Stanley Cup Finals with a 3-2 overtime win over the Lightning in game 4. Game 5 tomorrow in Tampa. The Lightning minus 220 on the money line. Montreal plus 180. The over-under 5.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And with that, we do say welcome into another brand new live edition of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We are back. It is Tuesday, July 6th. We are back from our little break. Hope everybody enjoyed the 4th of July holiday, had some time with family. Hope everyone got to enjoy everything. Safe travels wherever you may be headed on this Tuesday morning. That means normally on Monday when we're sitting here, we like to do the good, the bad, the ugly, kind of recap everything from the weekend. Well, we didn't get a chance to do that yesterday. We have not had a show since last Wednesday. So you figure that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That's 5 days. So we can do a good, the bad, the ugly from the last 5 days. Like I said, normally we do it on Monday, but since it is our first show of the week, we'll go ahead and do it now. So you got your good, the bad, the ugly from the past 5 days. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. So we want to hear from you on this Tuesday. Plenty of good stuff to get to, but as always, you can find us on Facebook Live, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at 977ESPN on Twitter. Plenty of good stuff to get to from over the weekend. Some stuff, maybe not so good. Some stuff is good. By now, we don't have to spend a ton of time on it because last Thursday, obviously, I think everybody knows name, image, and likeness went into effect. But a lot of players, a lot of things from around the country, and especially here in the state of Alabama, they have name, image, and likeness deals. And then you also have not only name, image, and likeness deals, but you're also going to hear the word non-fungible tokens those are kind of like cryptocurrency deals that athletes will have. We'll spend a little time on that. Not on that, but we'll spend a little time on the name, image, and likeness stuff on who has new deals. Reggie Bush and the Heisman Trust are going back and forth. And the story there is that Reggie Bush wants his Heismans back. He wants his records back because of all of the, basically, with everybody being paid now, he wants his Heismans back. The Heisman has responded to Reggie Bush, but it brings up an interesting topic, and I'll explain here in a minute. The transfer portal is closed now for college football players if they want to be eligible immediately. Alabama, LSU, Tennessee all saw a player hit the portal before the deadline. Jartavius Whitlow, Boobie Whitlow, needs a new home. What could be the biggest X factor for your team in the fall? Massive recruiting weekend. Number 1 ranked player commits. The number 1 offensive lineman commits. Alabama gets a commit. Trevor Lawrence signs his deal. But there is a ton of stuff to get to from the last 5 days. I mean, not that we want to spend a ton of time going back in the time machine, but that's just stuff that happened in the last 24 or 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot to talk about. The opening, a lot of recruiting, things went down this weekend. Some local kids in state, some national stuff. JT Tuilamoau ends up at Ohio State as expected. I guess the check cleared, but you can take with that what you may. But
now, what says he's going to play basketball for Ohio State?
Whatever. They're going to tell you whatever they're going to say. I guess they'll let him.
Well, he said that. Not them. I mean, he said it.
I mean, wow. Okay, great. Congratulations. You'd rather be a loser. Good for you. But anyway, I guess he didn't enjoy a 30-point ass whipping in the national championship game, but he's going to Ohio State. They've got him convinced he's the next Bosa. He's a really good football player. There's no doubt about it. They had the second best recruiting class in America. They've got a lot of expectations to try to win the national championship. So he's going to be a really good player for them, and he is a good basketball player. I don't know that he's a Power 5 basketball player, but certainly they're going to give him a shot and tell him anything and everything to get him to sign the dotted line, which they did. So congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes. They have won 2 national championships in 50 years.
Feeling some kind of way about it?
Oh yeah, I just don't like it when a kid makes a stupid decision, which I think he made. So that's just me. I think he should have gone to Alabama, but I think that he would have had a better opportunity to be developed there. I mean, even though Ohio State is a hell of a program, and they have done a heck of a job with the Bosa brothers, but I mean, I just think Alabama is the better program. They finish more consistently. They don't choke. But I will say at least Ohio State does turn out a lot of pros, and I'm sure the kid's going to have a chance to have a nice career.
All right, and you mentioned Alabama got a recruit over the weekend.
Yeah, they did, and it was expected. They got a young man who is really is raw as a football player. His name's Antonio Kite from Anniston High School. I've seen him play basketball. I saw him play basketball this year. Probably the best game that I saw besides the Huntsville High Spain Park game in the Elite Eight. I'm just talking about probably the best regular season game. It was a showcase game over at May Jemison. And J.D. Davison and Calhoun, it was J.D.'s only appearance in Huntsville due to COVID. But they played over there against Anniston in kind of a made-for tournament matchup. They wanted to match up 2 really good teams. And Anniston went on to win the 4A Boys Championship. Calhoun went on to make the Final Four in 3A. And it was a heck of a matchup, man. It was, I should say 2A for Calhoun. But still, it was a heck of a matchup. Very high level. I mean, very high scoring game. Antonio Kite, I believe, had 20 in the game. His teammate had 39 in the backcourt, and then J.D. Davison ended with 34. So it was one heck of a game, and you could just see the athleticism with Antonio. And he was a guy that, again, just kind of got on the football radar, but it didn't take long. Anniston's kind of known for putting out athletes, and he ended up playing safety for them last year. I think he played some football in middle school, but he had not played for the high school. They get him out before his junior year, and he ends up with 6 or 7 interceptions. I've seen, it's hard to say. I've seen stats for both. But he's a guy that was a ball hawk right away. And when you watch his film, he doesn't mind the contact either. And he's 6'2". In basketball, I think he still would have been a D1 prospect. Nate Oates offered him but I still think he probably would have been more of a mid-major guy. But in football, with that height, that leaping ability, and that athleticism, plus good speed and those instincts, you're an SEC prospect. And Nick Saban took notice of him quickly after his junior film went out, and Alabama jumped on him and was able to recruit him. And he really ultimately chose Alabama over Florida State, but he had a lot of really good offers in football. And his best football is still ahead of him because this will only be his second year of organized high school football coming up in the fall for Anniston.
John Garcia Jr. will join us a little bit later in the show. We'll talk some more college football recruiting because it's a busy time. A busy time going on right now for college football recruiting. Yes, the dead period is upon us, but nonetheless, still, we got college football recruiting. Hey, 2 weeks from today, we will be in the thick of SEC Media Days. 2 weeks from today is the first full day of SEC Media Days in Hoover. Now, it'll start on Monday, but Monday doesn't start until noon. And so it'll be an afternoon session down there. But 2 weeks from today, we get SEC Media Days, Drew. And then, man, after SEC Media Days, you get that week off to kind of go back over everything that we talked about and learn from all these teams, if you learn anything from SEC Media Days, to actually getting to camp. I mean, we're getting close to camp starting. I mean, we're looking, maybe 4 weeks away from camp really getting underway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And that's another thing I'm going to be interested with JT Tuilamoau. How quickly can he acclimate himself? Because he dragged out the recruiting process mainly because of the fact that his senior season wasn't until the spring.
Right.
And I will give him a lot of credit for that. He could have opted out and tried to enroll early at another school, but in a college of his choice, but he played with his teammates. Also wanted to play his senior basketball season. So, and he decided to wait until the dead period was over, and that was ridiculous how long it lasted, and actually make his 4 visits because he decided he didn't want to visit the best program in America for some unknown reason. But like I said before,
I know it's a shame he didn't want to visit Iowa. I mean, you're right, the best program in all the land.
I mean, he decided to make his visits. He did, and then he committed on the 4th of July. That's another big day for these kids. It looks like a lot of them like to quote unquote set off fireworks and commit on the 4th of July. So he did that. So he's going to be headed to Columbus. He probably already is. And so going to be really interested. He hasn't gone through any of the off-season stuff or summer conditioning or any of that, but if he's truly that elite, how quickly can he get on the field for Ohio State and at least maybe, fill a role like on as a third down pass rusher or something. But, Ohio State's supposed to be loaded. They certainly were hyping it up this weekend, talking about how talented, the media was talking about how talented they were. I mean, certainly they're going to be one of the favorites in the Little Ten, if not the favorite, because they've basically run that conference for many years. It's kind of interesting. They're a lot like Alabama. They've got a lot of holes to fill, but they've recruited at a very high level, and Ryan Day and that program are just expected to keep on rolling, and we'll see if they can.
All right, 256-576-4977. But next year we go back to normal, though, right? As far as the recruiting cycle, the period, the dates and everything goes. Are we back to normal going into this year? There's not going to be that dead period like we have to wait through, so everything goes back to being normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be a dead period like what they had with COVID. I mean, actually, this summer, has been not exactly 100% normal, but it's getting back there. I mean, there was no multiple day camps this year, like overnight camps, at least that you could now if you where you could stay and work out 2 and 3 and 4 days in a row. Just about everybody, the Alabamas, including Auburn's, they were 1 day camps, and then you would go home. Now, as a recruit in a family, if you could afford to do said thing, you could stay for 3 days, but you just wouldn't get field work and all that kind of stuff. So, and then it would be an unofficial visit, but you could at least get, FaceTime with the coaches and things of that nature. And then this dead period in July, it's a usual thing. I mean, they'll have it next year too, because usually, and that's why I talked about it getting back to somewhat normal. June is the month for camps, usually all the time, and that's in every sport.
Right.
But especially football.
All right, 256-576-4977. We are back at it after about a week of hiatus, enjoying some time with family and friends and getting out there. Did you have a good 4th?
Yeah, it was good. Spent some time with the family in Gunnersville, had some good food, and got a chance to see some folks I hadn't seen in a long time. So had a good time and, tried to follow some of the storylines. I'll be honest, I don't know if it was just coming off COVID or whatever, but there wasn't a lot of hype. Everyone knew about the Elite 11, but I honestly forgot that the opening is usually at the same time as the Elite 11, and there wasn't a lot of hype about the opening this year. I mean, they've started having it, concurrently with the Elite 11 in the same place, but now they started moving it around, moving it to different locations because, as you know, first couple of years it was in Oregon.
Yeah.
And so they've been moving it around. But, you heard a little buzz about the opening, but not like usual. And, I think that's probably because things are just now starting to return to normal. But still a lot of recruiting info. And, John Garcia and his staff at Sports Illustrated, of course, 24/7 Sports, they had a ton of people out there, in California covering the event, which that's great, especially considering that the state of California has kind of been one of the most stringent when it comes to the COVID situation, but it looks like they've even relaxed their, restrictions, and they were at least letting people come down there. And this was a multiple-day event. This is, the Elite 11 was 4 days, and the opening was the same deal. it was a several-day event, so that was good to see the kids be able to fly out there and compete. And, we had Ty Simpson with the quarterbacks is committed to Alabama. The Auburn commit from Georgia was there. And Zach Pyron, the young man formerly of the Fife Red Devils, who led Pinson Valley to a state championship last year in 6A. He got there a little late but competed and really made a kind of did some really nice things. So he's committed to Baylor. So a lot of kids got to go out there and compete, so it was a good thing.
I visited the milkshake yard.
Yeah, I saw that.
Milkshake bar or whatever out there in town Madison for the first time.
Did you go to the Trash Pandas game?
Did not.
Well,
no,
they're out of town, right?
They're out of town.
They were out of town for the week, so they just had the fireworks.
Yeah, we didn't even mess with that. My wife and I, we went out there and partook in a one of the fancy milkshakes. Yeah. $16 for a milkshake.
Well, just looking at the one you bought, Scott, I would have thought if you just had to ask them, it probably would have had 552 grams of sugar in it too. But that's just me.
It was we split it. I mean, we did not eat it. Saying I could not eat it single-handedly.
No, I wouldn't see how anybody could do that without keeling over.
It
that's
was
whether you're diabetic or not.
It was a good day. We enjoyed the 4th. We actually the Huntsville Art Museum was open for free. And so we went and visited the Huntsville Art Museum and then we went out and had a milkshake. But it was good. It was a good time to be with family and friends for the last 5 days. But now it's back at it. And it won't be long until we get high school football. It won't be long until the start of the college football season. And like I said, 2 weeks from today, we will be in the thick of things for SEC Media Days down there in Hoover. All right, coming up here in just a little bit, John Garcia Jr. will join us as we talk some more college football recruiting, get his takes on the opening and everything that went along. The transfer portal, though, now is closed. Athletes can still go into the transfer portal, let me just say that. But it is closed if you want to be open immediately for the upcoming year. You can't go in it now and be eligible immediately. The transfer portal window has closed. Alabama, LSU, and Tennessee all had players go in it. Tennessee defensive lineman Daryl Middleton, Alabama linebacker King. How do you say that last name?
Makuta.
He's in there. And then LSU offensive tackle Dare Rosenthal. All went into the transfer portal right before the deadline.
Well, we talked about Rosenthal before we took the break, and there was even some thought that LSU may be trying to get him back, but we haven't heard any more on that. I still would doubt that very seriously. We heard Baylor may be a landing spot for Dare, but we'll see. And Brandon Turnage did land at Tennessee, from the University of Alabama. He had gone originally and committed to Georgia, but he went out there and worked out. Realized basically he was trading one uniform for the other for the same situation because with all the transfers Georgia took in the secondary and the kids they've signed, it just didn't look like to him that he was going to be in the plans for this season. And so he's already sat for 2 years and also really gone through a red shirt. So he's going to be a red shirt sophomore. So you're wanting to play.
Right.
And certainly Tennessee's been in need of guys. We talked about you talked about just then that they had another DL hit the portal. So he's going to go to Tennessee, should be able to get on the field. And so he had to do that, as you said, right at the deadline. He had to, if he was going to leave Georgia, he had to do it, within the last week, which he did. So he's going to Tennessee now, and he'll enroll there. And so I think he's already in their student directory. So he's already within the process of doing that. And we'll see with King Makuta. He was certainly a guy that had a pretty good spring, but as we talked about, Alabama's got a lot of edge guys, and he's one of them. I don't think he's being counted on to start this year, of course. He would be probably a core special teams guy, but we'll see what happens with King and his future.
All right, let's get our break in, because when we come back, we will talk college football recruiting. John Garcia Jr. set to join the show here right after these messages.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a wreck on Madison Boulevard near County Line. That one's a no injury. That one on the Parkway southbound near Maston Lake started as an injury type, but they canceled Himsey on it, and it sounds like they've completed their search of the building at Progress Bank. Highway 72 east of Balch Road had a fire alarm there. Apparently no fire. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device. Insurance approved for sleep apnea and for snoring. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye's Skywatch Traffic Center.
Braves baseball is celebrating 150 years, and this 2021 team is looking to kick down the door and make this season one for the history books.
Swing and a fly ball hit deep toward their bullpen. Are you kidding me? Another pinch hit homer.
Your new home of the Atlanta Braves.
Hit high in the air to deep right center field. We are tied!
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Listen to the Tom Abraham Show.
And he loves fishing.
The average shift is 52 seconds. If you get into a minute 10, minute 12, your legs are burning because they get out there and they go like hell. You're talking about skating and doing the other, the stick handling and everything else, but your legs just are on fire because you go so hard.
As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey. I miss the Knicks.
Listen to the Big Dog, weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Not a bad Tuesday afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Some of us are going to get to enjoy a little bit more sunshine than others. Those that see a little more sunshine are going to have an easier time climbing into the lower 90s. Those that see a little more cloud cover should only hang out in the mid-upper 80s. A couple of isolated showers are going to be possible this afternoon, but at the end of the day, most of us are going to stay dry. We'll be warm as we head into the overnight. Lows only drop into the upper 60s and lower 70s. A little more cloud cover for your Wednesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Join us this afternoon from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It is 7:25 on this Tuesday morning. Welcome back into Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Yes, we are back live at it again after enjoying some time away for the holiday break. So this is not a best of or a recording show. This is a live show. We're back at it, so welcome back in and welcome back after the holiday. We've talked some high school football recruiting. We talked some football recruiting, I should say, leading into the break to get the table all set for our first guest of the week.
Yeah, we are. We're going to be talking to a guy who's busy, man. I mean, he certainly had a great 4th of July, but he spent it on the West Coast in Los Angeles for the opening and the Elite 11. He and his staff at Sports Illustrated had blowout coverage. He is the director of recruiting for Sports Illustrated, and of course you can follow that on Twitter at SI All American. You can follow him at John Garcia _JR. He does a great job covering recruiting now nationally. I mean, for many years he covered the University of Alabama and the SEC, but now a national perspective on it, and he had firsthand looks at this Elite 11, which was very exciting, and really, as we said, more of a return to normalcy from what we saw from a year ago when none of this was happening. So it's very interesting to get his thoughts, and he's been good enough to join us this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. That's John Garcia. John, you're with Drew and Scott. How are you?
Hey, good morning, fellas. I'm doing well.
Thank you for joining us, man. I know it's been a busy one for you. And really, no pun intended here, but a lot of fireworks on the 4th of July, not just the opening and, of course, the Elite 11, but a lot of commitments now taking place on that day.
Yeah, I think everybody looked at June as a crazy window because of these visits, right? Everyone was excited to get back on the visit trail, first time in 15 months, and then you take all your visits, and then, okay, when are you going to commit? Well, naturally, the next weekend is 4th of July. Family around, a lot of time to sit back and reflect on what you just experienced. So naturally, a lot of prospects wanted to get those decisions in, and a lot of programs picked up big-time players. I think all over the country, whether you go to Ohio State picking up JT Tuimoloau, you go to Oregon picking up Kelvin Banks, Michigan picking up Mario Eugenio, Alabama picking up Antonio Kite. Really, it seemed like everybody got some kind of good news over the weekend, whether it was a commitment or a prospect cutting their list with their school still on it. But, yeah, June and early July, very busy with the fireworks, with commitments, and more should be sort of along the way the rest of this month. So we're not slowing down.
Mario Cristobal continues to recruit at a high level with Oregon.
Especially on the offensive line. And I think that's where you would sort of expect it. But to go into Texas and to beat A&M for really their top trench target, A&M's been able to recruit outside of Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Bama, which is kind of the elite recruiting group. I mean, A&M's been right there, right on their heels. And so it's for Oregon to go down to Texas and do that. And they've had a lot of success in Texas this cycle. I think 4 or 5 prospects already committed to the Ducks from that state. It just tells you a lot. But at the offensive line position in particular, with Mario Cristobal's pedigree there, with what they just did with Penei Sewell being a top 10 NFL draft pick, it just kind of snowballs into a really easy sell. You throw in all of the novelty in actually being able to visit Oregon, NIL opportunities, which should be pretty vast there. They're selling plenty, as you would imagine. It just it's a unique package. And yeah, when it comes to closing, Mario Cristobal, one-time recruiter of the year, still does it as a head coach. He still grinds like he's that up-and-coming assistant So, yeah, it's a perfect storm for certain positions, especially on the offensive line, and they're still, poised for top classes in the Pac-12 seemingly every cycle, and Banks was a huge get nationally for them.
Well, and John, we had a strong, suspicion that this is the way after the cancellation of the Alabama visit, the JT to Illinois was going to go. But what does this mean now for Ohio State? Obviously, they had the second best recruiting class, to Alabama before this kid committed, really. But what does this do for their class now?
Yeah, I think the Bama class still edges out Ohio State, but wow. I mean, these two classes combined, just unbelievable talent. So we do the SI 99 ranking, top 99 prospects in America, regardless of position. Alabama signed 12, and JTT was the 12th Ohio State signee in that group. So a quarter of America's best prospects are going to two schools that happen to just, play for the national title. So I think it's almost those two separating themselves when it comes to a recruiting standpoint. And then you spin it forward to this 2022 cycle, and Ohio State's kind of running away with the class again. And they picked up another Southerner in the Kojo Antwi, a receiver from Georgia, just yesterday. So Ohio State really firing on all cylinders. I think Brian Hartline, the wide receiver coach there, is positioning himself as maybe the best wide receiver recruiter in the country. You think about what Ohio State's been able to pull in the last several years under his watch, and this class is no different, looking like one of the better receiver classes in the country. So, yeah, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, that's kind of the group on the field, and no surprise, off the field and in recruiting, it's starting to look the same.
Do we really expect to see JTT in a basketball uniform?
He's pretty good. He's 6'6", 280 pounds, but he really moves like he's 235, 240. We ranked him as the number one edge prospect, and we were really back and forth last cycle on, is he an edge? Is he an inside guy? We have specific positions for a reason, but with his athleticism, we were still comfortable lining him up as a theoretical edge and on our board, on our theoretical defense. So he's a very good athlete, a really good tight end, easy ball skills. At the high school level, he played that spring season out in Washington and was really dominant wherever he lined up, and he wanted to fulfill his basketball dreams as well. So he's gunning for both sports. He's obviously a little late to the punch in terms of when he's going to enroll at Ohio State. Most of those kids are already on campus, but with that type of talent, you really don't expect anything to be held back. So I think he could suit up and absolutely contribute in some way.
Well, and now to switch gears to the quarterback event, the Elite 11 always gets a lot of attention, John. We certainly had Alabama and Auburn headlines. Both had a commitment there. And then we had Zach Pyron, who I think is starting to now come on the national scene. He was someone that spent, as you know, his first couple of years at Fife High School, which is a great small school program here in Alabama, now a 3A school, but not known for throwing the football. He transfers to Pinson Valley. He helps Sam Shade win a state title in his first season in 6A football with Kool-Aid McKinstry, being named Mr. Football. But I guess for our listeners, break down Ty Simpson, the Alabama commit, also the Auburn commit, and then Zach Pyron and what he was able to accomplish.
Yeah, I thought all three guys looked pretty good. Ty Simpson, probably the best among them, and it's just there's so much to work with there. Is he the most productive high school quarterback or the most athletic, or does he have the biggest arm? No, but he's kind of right on the cusp of all of those categories. And what we got to see in person was really kind of who he is, his demeanor, coach's kid, multi-sport athlete, just a dynamic sort of personality, and ultra competitive. I think that week is a marathon no matter what. This year, it was longer than maybe it's ever been. 4 workout days for the quarterbacks, and then they're also quarterbacking all the events at the opening, including a 7-on-7 tournament, kind of the whole deal. Never did Ty Simpson slow down. When other quarterbacks were audibly complaining about their arms being dead or how many reps they were taking, you're probably talking about 500 throws in a 1 week span. I mean, Ty Simpson's demeanor never changed. He was always sort of locked in and focused. And the drill that really caught our attention most was, well, he won the first day, right? For us, he was the MVP of the training camp, kind of the traditional circuit-based, Elite 11, where you're just in different stations doing different drills, trying to get outside of your comfort zone. His athleticism and accuracy really propelled him to the top of our list. So he was kind of the headliner after day one. But in day three, the accuracy gauntlet, basically just look at 4 targets timed where you have to hit it a certain amount of times before you could move on to the next target. Ty Simpson was moving at a blistering pace. He threw 44 passes in about 3.5 minutes. Now, for reference, most prospects threw between 30 and 35. Ty threw 44, at least 5 more than the next guy. So you talk about athleticism, pace, intensity. It was really all on display for Ty Simpson. Really accurate most of the week. Again, not the biggest arm, but absolutely efficient. And that competitive demeanor was really, really evident. And you move to Holden Garner, the Auburn commitment. I thought one of the more comfortable quarterbacks throwing on the run. He's a big kid, 6'3", 215, coming out of Savannah. He looks like a bit of like a Tebow type of quarterback on the hoof. But when he actually spins it, man, the ball really jumps out of his hand. The delivery is a little bit funky, not as funky as Tim Tebow's, but he's got kind of a whip motion where it almost comes from his hip, but he's got that height at 6'3", so I don't think it really minimizes his ability to get rid of the football. The release is quick enough to sort of counter the funky motion that comes from a little bit of a lower place than other quarterbacks. But particularly on the move, Holden Garner is extremely comfortable. And I think that's interesting with the type of offense that he's obviously going to combat with at Auburn under Brian Harsin. A little bit more West Coast concepts, a little bit more quick trigger concepts. So I do think that is an interesting fit, but I think his athleticism really could propel him over the top and kind of makes him an interesting fit under the old Auburn scheme under Gus Malzahn. So interested to see how he develops, but just a solid week, consistent every day. Again, not the most physically gifted, but competitive, athletic, and never really slowed down. We didn't see a huge drop-off from day 1 to day 5 with Garner, so that's encouraging for Auburn fans. And then with Zach Pyron, just steady. You mentioned his rise, really more of a runner early in his high school career, turned the page at Pinson Valley as a junior, and really was able to shine on a national stage, not only at the regional, but here out in L.A., I should say, at the Elite 11. Really loved his pro day workout. We scored every single throw of every day, and the pro day was probably Zach's best day. The 50-point threshold was really what separated the elite from sort of the mediocre on that day. All going through the same workout, all on the same scripted throws, and Pyron had a really, really solid day. His timing, his touch were all on display, comfortable on the run, good in the intermediate routes with his accuracy, but especially good with the deep ball, which is not something that we would have anticipated going in. So I think Pyron's a little bit more complete than maybe we gave him credit for going into the week. So I thought all 3 guys had good showings, but there's no doubt that Pyron is absolutely on the map. He finished in the top 10 for us throughout the week, which I thought was probably a little bit above expectations. So Baylor fans got to be excited about that one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, he's got a lot of upside. Going to be in his second year in that system at Pinson Valley, a very talented squad as they look to defend their 6A state championship inside the state of Alabama. But speaking of the state of Alabama, you mentioned it at the start of our conversation, Antonio Kite pulling the trigger for the University of Alabama. I think everyone thought for a while now he'd been leaning that way. He's an interesting prospect, John, because he's a guy that's only played 1 year of high school football. He has been known as a basketball guy. I saw him a couple years ago at Alabama's elite basketball camp when he got offered verbally by Nate Oates. But now football seems to be his ticket, and he was a quick study.
Absolutely. You talk about natural athleticism and talent. Anderson just kind of put him at safety, and Antonio Kite said, hey, go get the ball, go make plays. And whether it was versus the pass or versus the run, that's what he did. Handful of interceptions, played some offense as well. Just an explosive overall athlete with some natural skills. I think if you watch his tape and then someone tells you, hey, this was Antonio's first year of varsity football, you would kind of not believe that person. You would say, really? Because he makes so many plays that are in those margins between good and great, in those margins between good athlete and great athlete, in those margins between he can play or, he has a chance to be really good. And he's on the plus side of all of those things. Not a nationally known guy, not like you said, not a guy who hit a bunch of camps and made everyone see what the talent level was like. He's one who got banged up in the spring, so he wasn't able to showcase that ability to others. But in the summer, absolutely has. Went back to Bama, validated that offer with an unbelievable camp. We've heard he runs in the 4.4 range.
Wow.
Laser time in the 40-yard dash. So this is just an unbelievable blank canvas for Nick Saban to work with. Saban personally recruited him. He's got safety size with corner athleticism. And again, he's so inexperienced that you can kind of do with it what you will. His technique is all over the place. His back pedal is high, but the ball skills, the instincts, the explosiveness is all there. And he's willing to play physical, which is really what you maybe wouldn't expect for a guy who's more of a basketball player who's now jumping towards football. And the maturity level when you talk to Antonio Kite is there as well. He's already talking like, hey, I kind of know football is where I have a higher ceiling. I'm 6'1", 180 or whatever he's weighing at this point. He kind of understands that the odds of him, with a strong trajectory in football are a little bit more secure than basketball. So he's already beginning to sort of prioritize football a little bit more than basketball. So I think there's a lot to like there mentally. There's certainly a lot to like physically. Not a nationally known name where, USC and A&M and some of these other schools are coming out of everywhere to go pull him out of Anniston High School, but a fortunate semi-local prospect for Alabama who is absolutely one of the best players in this class, one of the best players in the state. And when it comes to projection, if you're projecting the ceiling for an athlete, this is one of the best gets nationally, not just in recent weeks, but in the entire summer spectrum, which has featured more than 100 Power 5 verbal commitments. I'm absolutely a huge fan of Antonio Kite for what he will be, but that foundation with that athleticism, that frame, is absolutely there. This was a big get for Bama.
Great stuff.
Yeah, no doubt, John. And just real quickly, as we're wrapping it up with you here, last few minutes, with Jeremiah Alexander of Thompson, we know he committed to Alabama in the past and now has decommitted and opened it back up. But he's going to make what we think could be his final decision, on July 8th in just a couple of days. What are you hearing about Jeremiah Alexander? We've been hearing here that it's Alabama and Clemson. Georgia doesn't really feel like they're in it. I know Georgia got a lot of buzz when he first decommitted several months ago, but could Alabama be getting more good news later this week?
Yeah, Drew, this recruitment has shifted, certainly. Like you mentioned, committed to Alabama very early on, and when he did back off, he did say Alabama was still his number one school, but naturally you just kind of expect kids to go elsewhere, right? It's just not very often like an Evan Neal scenario happens where a kid is committed, decommits, and then like a year later jumps back on board. It just doesn't happen a whole lot. So naturally when he decommitted, Georgia and LSU really had a lot of buzz. LSU was, of course, coming off of that national title near that time. But since, it's really shifted. He took a lot of visits in June, like many prospects did, even went down to UCF to see Gus Malzahn and company. But really, his trip to Clemson, I thought, was really eye-opening for him. There's a certain fit with Clemson in terms of, obviously athletically, you need to be at a certain threshold, but I think maturity-wise, personality-wise, there's a certain Clemson guy almost type of trait that Jeremiah does have with him. But Alabama absolutely still wants this kid. And he's one of the more interesting defenders in the South. He can play traditional linebacker. He can rush the passer very well, despite kind of tweener size. And Alabama and Clemson have both worked with those type of prospects very well. So I do expect it to come down to those two. I thought the earlier he committed in the summer, if it was in the month of June, I probably would have given the edge to Clemson, just coming off that visit again. These kids hadn't made visits, right? So when you fall in love on one of them, it's pretty evident, pretty obvious. But him holding off, which is again right in his wheelhouse as a mature prospect, I thought really opened things back up for Alabama. So I expect it to be pretty close between these two. I'm not quite ready to call it. He's done a really good job of keeping things close to the vest, but I do know that there's been some back and forth between the Tide and the Tigers, which is something, on and on the field and in recruiting, we've been saying a lot over the last, 5-6 years. So I'll be excited on July 8th, just like everyone else, to see where he's headed. But if it is Alabama, you could see kind of the momentum building for Nick Saban and company, turning that corner from, okay, we've got a solid couple guys committed to, this is going to start to turn into another one of these classes. And Jeremiah Alexander, from a perception standpoint, would be big for that.
No doubt. Well, John Garcia with great stuff as always. Recruiting info. Follow him on Twitter at @JohnGarcia_JR and at SI All-American. They will have blowout coverage of where Jeremiah Alexander chooses in a couple of days. And, of course, as you've already heard John say, they're going to continue to have, fallout and coverage of the Elite 11 and where that goes and the opening. And some of these kids really kind of stepped up and helped, raise their profile. You'll see that as they continue to give you feedback from that event. And also every day, it seems now, young people are making their decisions, and you will see them if you have been following his Twitter account. It has been loaded down with info since these past several days. But, John, we appreciate it, and let everybody know once again how to follow your work.
Yeah, always a pleasure, fellas. Appreciate the kind words. John Garcia _Jr. is the Twitter, and at SI All-American on all social media. We even just got a TikTok. I don't know how to operate it, but we've got one. So
I'm in the same boat.
Become like our third follower.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it, brother.
Take care, guys.
All right, thanks, Tom. John Garcia Jr. with us. We will be back after the break. We have a TikTok, I think. We'll fill everybody in. Maybe. We'll find out when we return.
I guess your milkshake was on.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Working on a couple of no-injury wrecks, Madison Boulevard and County Line and southbound on the Parkway just north of Maston Lake. Got fire equipment just about to clear from Progress Bank on 72 east of Balch Road. Had a fire alarm there, but they did not find a fire. Snelling needs an experienced safety manager for a South Huntsville facility. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
With double the seasoned beef and a large drink all for $5, Taco Bell's Grande Nachos truly deserves a Grande intro, perhaps with a Grande beat box. Said it's crunchy, it's cheesy, beat. Actually, that sounded better in my head. Go get the $5 Grande Nachos before they make a exit. Nope, only at Taco Bell. At limited participating locations for a limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Tax extra. Drinks excludes freezes. Double the seasoned beef as compared to the Nachos Bell Grande.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here, and it's summertime at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Come join us and enjoy our all-new summer fun menu featuring fan favorites like our Bam Bam Chicken, Go Fish, Alabama Gulf Buffalo Shrimp, and our all-new Buffalo-style wing fingers. All our shrimp dishes feature Alabama Gulf seafood. And don't forget, we're always looking for new legendary people to join our legendary team. Apply online at baumhauers.com/careers. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Hey, you should move over. Red right return.
Right, red right return.
No, just red right return because you're...
No, I'm saying red right return, but then right to agree.
Okay, but you're on the...
I should have said correct. I know it's red right return, but...
You're on the left and it's red right return. Red right return.
The tides can turn quick on the water. Progressive has you covered as a leader in boat insurance. Get a quote today at Progressive.com.
Oh, I was on the left. Right.
Please stop talking.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliate.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
When we say local, we mean local, not Birmingham.
Loser.
We are the only sports talk station in Huntsville. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You've got a magical glow.
Good morning, 750. Welcome back to Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. John Garcia talking college football recruiting there before the break as we kind of get ready to wrap up hour number one. We don't have a TikTok here at the station. Now, I signed up for one. I signed up for an account here personally.
Gotcha.
I've not done anything on TikTok.
I can't. TikTok is crazy, man.
You have a TikTok account, don't you?
I've done nothing on it except watch other people's TikToks. It's really bizarre. I mean, even though I will say one of the people that I follow, it was crazy. I actually found her at a Braves game the other day when they came back after this epic collapse by the clown patrol known as the Marlins. And by the way, I got to rant again. Just more pathetic umpiring. I mean, how stupid do you people have to be? I mean, they already robbed the Braves of that game with the Phillies earlier in the season, and they tried to do it again until Max Fried shoved it up their ass, which I'm glad he did, which is basically what I yelled at the TV, because that was absolutely asinine, what they did. That would have TikTok video. He blocked the plate. Okay, first of all, it was a block plate, which they didn't have the guts to overturn because they looked at for about 30 seconds and still called him out because they're a bunch of dumbasses and they don't want to admit they blew it. And then, I mean, Riley, he slides over. They somehow, I guess Nick Green was trying to tell everybody in the Braves broadcast that he missed the plate or something, and they tagged him on his knee. I don't see how the hell he did. I watched the replay. I thought it was pathetic. I thought, okay, they're going to review it, but he's going to be safe. I could not believe they called him out. I mean, I was just shocked. But luckily, sanity prevailed and the Braves still won the game. But, I mean, my Lord, I just thought it was pathetic.
How upset were you, or were you upset when they threw at Acuna on the first pitch? I forget what day that was, and Mattingly. Because I was listening to the broadcast. I didn't listen to much. I didn't see a lot of it. I just went back and listened to the replays. And the Braves color guy, he was basically saying, hey, should have just been warnings and moved on. I don't think we needed
it looked like
ejections.
Almost a breaking ball, like it wasn't a fastball. So I don't know. That was tough to. But see, here's the deal: if you've already hit a guy like 5 times and you've already had these dust ups, but I will say this: Acuna does get on top of the plate, okay? And the way you have to get him out is pitch him inside. And the Marlins really pitched him inside somewhat effectively in the series, even though he still had another home run, a couple of bombs, I should say, in the series, in the 3-game set. But, I mean, the thing is, I just thought overall, I did think it was probably a slight overreaction because it's the first pitch of the game, and there is some bad blood between the squads. Now I will say, for once, once Mattingly and Mel Stoudemire Jr. came out of the dugout, they both deserved to be thrown out of the ball game, I thought. I mean, if you're going to – I know they're just defending their guy, but I thought
But for the umpires to have to huddle and try to come up with something.
And I thought Snitger was just fighting for his player.
Right.
Which, you get tired of seeing the guy hit because he's also been injured. So you could lose him for a period of time. But honestly, I did think it was an overreaction. But that's what – you kind of reap what you sow. And I will say I've seen some of the other incidences, and those were on purpose. They were drilling Acuna because he was I'm sure they think he's a showboat, and he is to a degree. And I mean, but he's a great player, and he's killed him. I think he's got 22 home runs against them now. So I mean, they're in last place. I mean, they're fighting their guts out. But again, certainly I thought that it was a big series win for the Braves. But of course, as has been the season all year, they turn around yesterday, look like they're hung over from a bender all night, and they get the hell beat out of them by Pittsburgh. So we'll see if Ian Anderson can pick up the pieces today. But that was pathetic. But I mean, it just seems like every time they get either at 500 or maybe a game away, then they lose. They lose a ball game. So. They still are alive. They've still got a good shot at this thing. They've just got to get more consistent. As you continue to look at their lineup, I'm going to be really fascinated to see if Arcia, the kid they just called up and put in left field, can he continue to give them a spark offensively? If not, to me, they've got to start looking at a bat, probably to put out in the outfield without mortgaging the future anyway.
I'll tell you this, the Chicago Cubs are helping you.
Oh, yeah. Well,
the Cubs are
the
just
Milwaukee
throwing everything in the toilet.
Are freaking on fire right now, though. I mean, everybody's talked about Josh Hader getting traded. Traded?
He ain't going nowhere.
Place.
They're 51-35. The Cubs have lost 10 in a row.
Oh.
And this has been the worst stretch of baseball as a Cubs fan that I can remember in a long time. I mean, this has just been dismal baseball. I mean, bad baseball.
Is this probably the worst under Epstein since he took over? This is probably
Epstein's
the worst
gone.
Stretch.
Yeah, Epstein. He left, and so he's gone. But this is awful.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to be great, but these last 10 games, we've had a position player pitch more in the last 10 games than a lot of teams have had bullpen pitchers pitch. It's just been embarrassing. And the Cubs are now a game below 500. And so where it looked like about a month ago they could be buyers at the deadline, Cubs are going to be sellers at the deadline, and they just need to blow this thing up. Chris Bryant, hey, as much as it would hurt me for him to leave, it's time for him to go. It's time for them to start blowing some things up and moving some players out.
I've been paying attention to the damn Cubs. I didn't even realize Epstein bailed.
Yeah, he's gone. Jed Hoyer now is running everything.
Yeah, that was one of his guys when they were with Boston. They were together. So.
Theo is
he's working for Major League Baseball.
He's got some, he's doing some other stuff, but this is awful. They have lost 10 in a row. The Cubs now are 42-43. The Braves are 41-43. There is the only team in the NL East that's above 500 is the Mets.
Yeah.
I mean, and the Braves are only 4.5 games out of it.
That's what I'm saying. Even with all this garbage, and I mean that the Braves are still roundly in it because the division's been so bad. The only other great thing to watch, and I don't know, he's probably not listening, is the Yankees just crashing and burning. This is great. I mean, I'm loving it.
They're 42-41. They're only a game over 500.
They're a game over 500, but they're about 10 back, at least 9.5.
Makes me feel good at least that's happening.
Man, anytime they lose is a great day.
I feel I am right with you on that one as well. That's hour one in the books. When we come back, we need to talk Reggie Bush, the Heisman, and the NCAA. There's a lot of interesting talk going on there. We'll explain all of that. Jartavius Whitlow needs a new home. We'll explain that. We got a lot of stuff to get to. Plus, Trevor Lawrence, the greatest of all time, has signed the greatest of all time contracts. We'll explain when we return.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville. Call 256-713-0575.
Switching season is back at WOW. Get super fast, extra reliable Internet 100 for just $19.99 a month. Plus, ask how to get $200 on us. Sign up at wowie.com today. Wow. Limited to new customers with auto pay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning from the traffic center. Had a report of a pedestrian struck by a car in the 500 block of Church Street downtown. That turned out to be somebody just lying under one of the vehicles there, and they ran from police when they arrived. So they've been conducting a search in that area for the person, but apparently there's not going to be an injury or pedestrian-involved accident there. Popeye's 3-piece snack is only $4.99. You get 3 pieces of that crispy tender chicken and a buttermilk biscuit at Popeye's University and Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Not a bad Tuesday afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Some of us are going to get to enjoy a little bit more sunshine than others. Those that see a little more sunshine are going to have an easier time climbing into the lower 90s. Those that see a little more cloud cover should only hang out in the mid-upper 80s. A couple of isolated showers are going to be possible this afternoon, but at the end of the day, most of us are going to stay dry. We'll be warm as we head into the overnight. Lows only drop into the upper 60s and lower 70s. A little more cloud cover for your Wednesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This Action Update is brought to you by Keeps. Tired of losing your hair? Get 50% off for your first order at Keeps.com/VSiN. Keeps.com/VSiN.
Tonight, Game 1 of the NBA Finals, the Phoenix Suns at home against the Milwaukee Bucks, likely without their star player in Game 1. Giannis doubtful, still recovering from a hyperextended knee. Milwaukee a 6-point road underdog, the over-under 218.5. The Canadiens survived and avoided the sweep in the Stanley Cup Finals with a 3-2 overtime win over the Lightning in Game 4. Game 5 tomorrow in Tampa, the Lightning minus 220 on the money line, Montreal plus 180, the over-under 5. Baseball, the Braves at the Pirates tonight, Atlanta minus 170 on the money line on the road, Pittsburgh plus 155, the over-under 8.5. Ian Anderson getting the start for the Braves against Chad Kuhl for the Pirates.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It is hour 2 of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Hey, now's a great time to visit 977ESPN.com. Click on Zone Deals on the upper left-hand corner of your screen. Grab the latest Zone Deal, Hummus and Pita Company, $50 worth of food for $25 to the Hummus and Pita Company. And then coming up on Friday, you can get $50 worth of food for $25 to Metro Diner. It is back, Metro Diner, $50 worth of food for $25 to Metro Diner. We kick off hour number 2, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning. And an interesting saga going on behind the scenes in college football. And it has to do with Reggie Bush. But we can all tie this into Alabama. You can tie it into Auburn. You can tie it into maybe Tennessee. I don't know in the future. Reggie Bush had his Heisman taken away because of extra benefits that were paid to him while he was in college. Reggie Bush, now that they have in name, image, and likeness, would like his Heisman Trophy back. People are campaigning for Reggie Bush to get his Heisman Trophy back. However, the Heisman Trust has said, should the NCAA reinstate Reggie's 2005 status, the Heisman Trust looks forward to welcoming him back to the Heisman family. So the Heisman folks say this is up to the NCAA. Should the NCAA reinstate Reggie Bush? And if they do so, that would mean likes of Alabama when they had the textbook stuff. All that stuff should be lifted.
All that
Nick
stuff
Saban should
be
get his
back.
wins back.
Oh, that's all
should
stupid.
the NCAA allow Reggie Bush to have his Heisman back, which would open the door for others to have their stuff back?
All this stuff about vacating's idiotic. It doesn't mean anything. Everybody knows who won the damn games on the field. You watched it? I mean, come on. They did the same thing with Antonio Langham, got in trouble in 1993 for signing a freaking napkin, man. I mean, my goodness, they made Alabama ridiculous. All this stupidity. It's just more archaic crap from one of the worst organizations ever created. I mean, that's why nobody can stand them anyways. They don't even know when to get in out of the rain, like the president. I mean, good grief. Mercy. Stupid, man. Just give Reggie his Heisman back, okay? Certainly his family did some things wrong.
Right.
But I mean, it's not even a big deal now. I mean, you know, really it shouldn't have been a big deal back then. Because look, you know this stuff goes on. I don't think it compromised anything because he hadn't taken when he got there to USC, he wasn't Reggie Bush yet, okay? So just understand, this dude brought in millions of dollars for that school. And relatively, he didn't take millions of dollars, all right? He may have got an upgrade with his vehicle, and his family got a free house. Wow! It's so awful. I mean, shut up, stupid archaic rules. Just give him his trophy back, you bunch of clowns. I mean, good grief. I mean, and acting like, oh, he never won the Heisman. Yes, he did. He won the Heisman fair and square. He was an electric football player. I mean, you know, maybe he never had the NFL success that we had envisioned as a college player, but it's still a very good career, you know, and he's doing a great job now as a football analyst. But he deserves his Heisman back. I mean, come on. He deserves to be welcomed back to USC, just like the Fab Five deserve to have all their stuff reinstated.
That's the next thing.
That is just dumb. Dumb. Acting like they – I mean, and again, the Fab Five didn't even win a championship, but they did change college basketball. They did prove 5 freshmen could play at one time.
They played for 2 national championships.
Yes, 91 and 92.
Yes.
They lost to the Duke Blue Devils, and then they lost to the North Carolina Tar Heels. I mean, you know – or excuse me, 92 and 93, pardon me, because Duke beat Kansas in 91. Sorry. But, yes, the Blue Devils played that Fab Five group in 92 and repeated. And then in 93, North Carolina and the great Dean Smith won that classic game over, the Michigan Wolverines, who, of course, then Chris Webber went pro. I mean, Chris Webber, people forget. I mean, he played 2 years of college. You know, he didn't just play his freshman year. So you got a chance to see guys like Jalen Rose play 3 years. I mean, you don't see that now. But, you know, those guys, they deserve to have their, you know, banners reinstated and everything and not shunned and acting like, oh, you can't talk to them, man. You know, they got to school. I mean, give me a break. I mean, how stupid is that? I mean, I mean, you know.
Well, no, I mean, and that was the conversation that I saw a lot of people have over the weekend was that.
I mean, hey, what are they going to do? They can't
There's
do
a
anything
lot
to
of
Johnny
things.
Boy now. Johnny Boy's just flat out said he took a bunch of money for signing autographs. What are
Right.
they going to do? Take his Heisman away? I mean, come on. This is just stupid. The NCAA, their system is archaic and just crap. I mean, you know, they're as corrupt as the schools they investigate half the time. It's a good old boy network in a lot of ways. They just investigate the schools that they want to, and then they protect the schools like North Carolina, who was investigated for 6 or 7 years for academic fraud and got a slap on the wrist because they weren't going to do anything to North Carolina basketball. I mean, come on. You know that half the time that that they're being selective in their enforcement. It's just like Will Wade says he pays more than the G League. They haven't done anything to them, and they put Creighton on 2 years of probation. Creighton? I mean, they're not on tape saying that they paid half their roster. And I mean, and you got Will Wade out here flipping 5 stars from other schools. Geez, wonder what's going on, man. You know? I mean, crazy. He flips a 5-star center from Pitt from Jeff Capel, who actually I think he committed to Pitt publicly. Then he turns around and signs for LSU. You think he did that for free? I doubt it.
All right, 256-576-4977. Your thoughts on all of this? Should the NCAA just go back and basically undo their doings of taking away things in the past because now we have name, image, and likeness? Since
I mean, even Rick Pitino, they took Louisville's away,
right?
I believe in 2013.
Well, what about like a guy like John Calipari, who at Memphis and UMass, stuff like that?
He got in trouble both places, but now with the way they got the rules set up, it probably would be something where they would they wouldn't do anything. I mean, we all know that. And again, neither place did he win a championship, but we know they had great basketball teams. He had a team at UMass led by Marcus Camby and Donta Bright and all those guys that went to the Final Four. And then he had that team that if they could make a freaking free throw, they would have beaten Kansas and won a national championship. But they missed enough free throws to allow, the Kansas Jayhawks to get the game into overtime and win Bill Self's only title, because otherwise Bill Self would be on that list of best coach to never have won it. And so Mario Chalmers hit that big three, and then they end up winning, the game in overtime. So. But we'll see. I mean, I just think it's all a bunch of crap. I've never believed in all this, we're vacating all these games. I mean, what? I mean, come on. It's just like for a while, I think Alabama's actually had to, win their 700th game twice or something to that effect because of some vacated stuff when, because they're one of the winningest programs of all time. But they've made Alabama vacate some of those wins. I mean, what the? Give me a break with all that. And then they've even, like you mentioned with Nick Saban in the textbook thing, they made him vacate, I think, every win in 2007. I mean, good Lord. What? I mean, It's just pointless to me. I've always thought it was.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number 2.
And I wonder if that's even a violation now. Is that even a violation? Selling your textbook?
That's what I was wondering, because Alabama and the textbook stuff, that under the rules now, that's not a violation because academically, that's a profit you can make. That's what students can.
Academically,
that's gone now. So students can get money for that. You can do that on the academic side. So I'm wondering, should they allow like Nick Saban to have those wins back that were taken away earlier? So
yes, but who knows if they will?
All right,
they're too busy screwing up name, image, and likeness because they don't know how to handle that either.
That leads me into name, image, and likeness because some of these new deals are out there. We'll go over the good ones. There's a lot of fun ones out there to go over.
But there's nothing so far. Now the only one you've been hearing about is this gymnast at LSU. She's supposed to be making about $1 million.
The bad one is. And this is the one that has a lot of people scratching their heads.
Yeah.
And it has to do with Hersey Miller. And Hersey Miller is a basketball player for Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Hersey Miller is the son of Master P.
Oh, yeah.
Signed a deal for $2 million with Web Apps America. Web Apps America has 2 employees.
Yeah, one's probably his dad.
That is the one that has a lot of people scratching their heads going, what the
heck? You shouldn't be scratching your head. I mean, his dad's Master P, for crying out loud. So, of course, he's going to get hooked up more than some other people. Now you got athletes being able to go sing and get paid and rap and all this other kind of good stuff.
Right.
So, if his dad's Master P, he's already made millions himself. You can't go here and bitch about it. My God. It's going to happen.
Well, here in the state of Alabama, Bo Nix was the first one to get Milo's Sweet Tea and Lemonade, and then Malachi Moore got Milo's Sweet Tea and Lemonade.
That's pretty good endorsement right there. I'd take as many free cases of that they give me.
And then, that is a good one.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma, and then there was a guy from LSU, I believe that they got Raising Cane's chicken fingers.
Yeah, those are good stuff. That's good stuff.
So those are some of the good ones.
Yeah.
De'Aaron King from Miami got a deal and has come out and said that as much as he gets, he's going to donate a lot of it to teammates that don't get name, image, and likeness deals, and he's going
See, that's how
to
it's
give
gonna work
some
out.
money
Everybody's
back to
like,
them.
Oh, what are you going to do when the backup offensive lineman's not getting anything?
Yeah,
and
broken
his
locker
teammates
rooms.
Look, they're not going to break the locker rooms. They're going to take care of their teammates. This is just a bunch of other mumbo-jumbo BS from the NCAA looking for a reason to stop it all. Just shut up and sit down. You guys were inept all the time anyway, you bunch of clowns. I mean, good grief. Tell Woken to get a hobby. Go cover a horse race.
I'm sure the 4th of July really drove Dan Woken crazy. I've seen all the pictures from Nashville of all the crowds.
That fool's Twitter account anyway. Who would if you wanted to follow football?
I didn't say I checked it. I'm just saying it probably drove him crazy.
I wanted to call
seeing
him
all the
something
crowds
else, but
out.
I can't do that on this show.
My dream interview would be to get Dan Woken on this show. But those are some of the positive good things that we've seen from name, image, and likeness.
I would just ask Dan Woken one question. Are you a dumbass? Yes or no question. Yes. We all took a vote, and we agree.
It's a unanimous decision.
Yeah.
All 3 of us, 4 of us.
Yeah.
If it's a Tuesday, we have 4 of us in here.
Ugh.
And then all it has to be is 3-1.
Yeah.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the show this morning. The other story really is that the greatest quarterback of mankind, Trevor Lawrence, has signed his rookie deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He gets a 4-year deal, $36.8 million, includes $24.1 million in guaranteed money. It has the standard 5th-year option. He will be ready to go for day 1 of camp. And Drew, the signing bonus has to be paid within 15 business days. Majority of it is going to be the compensation in 22, 23, 24 and roster bonuses. He earns a roster bonus even if he's on the active NFI, whatever. So he gets a lot of money, does said Trevor Lawrence.
Well, I mean, that's the way these contracts are in the NFL. The signing bonus is where most of your money comes from. So I'm not surprised they're having to pay it before training camp. I'm also not surprised that he got into training camp because he's the franchise. They're having to build around him. They've got to, if they want to get off the ground, he's got to be there. You don't need a holdout. You need everybody to get in on the same page. You know, Urban Meyer's in his first year coaching in the NFL. I'm really going to be fascinated to see how they do. He's the centerpiece. So if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you need to get Travis Etienne in there too. Just have all these guys grow together because certainly they're coming off of a 1-15 season. They weren't very good,
right?
Whatever you want to call it. So they're starting all over, but they got a coach they're excited about that the fan base is somewhat excited about, and you got a guy in Trevor Lawrence who. That's the main reason. Let's be honest. That's why Urban Meyer took this job. I mean, he knew they had the number 1 overall pick. They'd get a chance to get a franchise quarterback. And then, of course, they decided to go with Travis Etienne in the 2nd round, which is pretty fascinating. Those two guys get a chance to start their NFL careers together, won so many games for Clemson. So it's going to be quite a storyline to follow to see how Urban Meyer and his new staff do in Jacksonville in year 1.
Doesn't look like Tim Tebow's going to make it. Not a lot of stuff down there with Tim Tebow.
You're not getting a lot of good feedback.
Yeah.
Now, certainly he'll be there for training camp and things of that nature, you would think. But, again, when you take that many years off and you're not playing physical football, when you're not playing the game, even a great athlete with a great heart and the great, traits of a Tim Tebow, I said this before, if he wanted to make a living in football – when he got cut by the Patriots several years ago, Scott, I guess around 2013.
The switch then?
Yeah, when he was trying to be a quarterback and they cut him, he should have immediately pivoted and started training and been like, okay, I'm switching positions, man. I want to play this game. That I've got enough talent to play at another position. And I'm young enough, and I've got to learn. But he's a guy you could put on the taxi squad and developed. He's got a lot of great traits we just mentioned, those leadership qualities, and he's someone that, whether it had been Jacksonville or wherever, I think he could have developed into an H-back. We've seen guys make the transition from college to the NFL and switch positions, and I still think he had enough talent to do so, but he decided to pivot and go to baseball, which he gave a hell of a run to, but I think he lost a lot of years of football, and it's tough to just pick back up and roll. I mean, it doesn't happen often. Only somebody probably with the athleticism of a Bo Jackson could do that, and Bo Jackson did it with an artificial hip. But you got to be almost a freak of nature athletically, to be able to do that.
All right. Before we get to a break, Anais Smith from Texas A&M also announcing that whatever profits he makes, he's going to share with his teammates. In his words, teamwork makes the dream work. And what makes the dream work? Well, teamwork. And Mississippi State had a lot of teamwork going on last week in Omaha. Remember Hannah Stutz? We had her in studio with us. I talked to her dad, Jay, the other day. He had to drive her back to Starkville on Tuesday, or last week. He had to drive her back to Starkville on Friday because Mississippi State had their national championship parade celebration. Hannah, part of the Mississippi State dance team, got to celebrate that with the team. Man, how awesome was it to see Mississippi State capture a national championship, the first ever in school history last week in Omaha?
Well, I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, you really just felt for those folks and, how much they were going to treasure it because, as I said, during this journey, and, Steve Robertson's going to join us here in just a few minutes from genespage.com, and he was there live throughout the fortnight in Omaha. It's just they were them along with Florida State's probably the two programs when you start thinking of the greatest that had never climbed the mountain. And both have been so close on more than a few occasions. But Mississippi State, I just got a feeling, I'm going to ask Steve this, and of course, he's going to add to his book arsenal now. I mean, good grief. I mean,
this is almost a book in itself.
Yeah, it was. And, I mean, this is the greatest moment in Mississippi State athletics history, and I'm sure that he will do as good a job as anyone with the written word and being able to capture the essence of this championship. But when they came back against Virginia, when they were being no-hit in the 8th inning, and they turn around, score 6 runs in said 8th inning, and they win it 6-5, I just sort of started thinking, okay, this is probably their year. Okay, right. You got a feeling that even though they played poorly in Hoover, that doesn't really mean anything, that they've gotten to this point, and they win the first game, and then they find a way to win that game against Virginia and to get to 2-0, and you just sort of felt like, okay, even when they lost to Texas, that they were going to find a way to do it. And then the way they beat Texas on the walk-off, 4-3, to reach the final series. And then they lose decisively in game 1, but what a response. I mean, you could not have played. I thought they played nearly a perfect game in game 3 when you win 9-0. And then they set a record, only program ever, I think, to not make an error. In Omaha the whole time, and of course win the championship.
And Vanderbilt the complete opposite.
Oh,
they had the most errors of the College World Series in a long time.
And they didn't swing the bats. But Mississippi State, when you factor in they beat Kumar Rocker, who had never lost in the postseason in his career. I mean, it was just a magical couple of weeks for Mississippi State.
I tell you what, Tim Corbin, class act. The letter that he penned after the game. Truly a class act, congratulating the Mississippi State seniors on what they accomplished and basically praising that program that every time they hook up with each other, they know it's going to be a hard-fought game that is pure baseball. I mean, just pure baseball, hard-fought, classy letter from Tim Corbin congratulating Mississippi State on the win. But let's get a break in because when we come back, Steve Robertson will help us break down everything that happened in Omaha and the reaction in Starkville since Mississippi State's won the national title.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a couple of wrecks in Decatur. I-65 about the 335. That's going to be just north of the Priceville exit. I've got it reported two ways. One says northbound, one says southbound. Had a vehicle hit a guardrail there. And we got one on Danville near Modus. That one's going to turn out to be a no injury. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Allison lost 100 pounds in 7 months on the plan. A free hormone quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Sitting here with Ann Adams of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Rise Real Estate. Is it a good time to sell your home, Ann?
Yes, it is. We have people relocating from all over the country.
Why should we choose Rise Real Estate?
Well, we've been selling real estate in North Alabama for 36 years and have sold more real estate than any other real estate company, period.
Do you help your customers through the entire process?
Yes, our agents are with you during the whole process from start to finish, from beginning to end.
In your relocation services, you have a whole team.
Yes, we have a dedicated relocation department helping customers move seamlessly into the area.
Ann Adams has been writing contracts for the last 36 years. She has the experience to help you list and sell your home, downsize your home, or help pick the perfect spot north of Alabama for you to build a future.
Call Ann Adams at 256-337-2625 or on the web at www.bhhsriserealestate.com.
This is West Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
This is an Alabama legacy moment.
The famous goal line stand, one of the most celebrated moments in Alabama sports history. The Tide was leading the 1979 Sugar Bowl when Penn State moved the ball to within 10 inches of the goal line. Barry Krause and Marty Lyons leaped over the pile to stop Nittany Lions running back Mike Gooman and preserve the Tide's victory. The win handed Coach Paul Bear Bryant his 5th national championship.
Sponsored by the Alabama Bicentennial Commission, the ABA, and this station.
This is an Alabama legacy moment.
Olympian Jesse Owens dominated the 1936 Olympics with 4 track and field gold medals in the 100-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, the long jump, and the 4x100-meter relay. The Lawrence County native dominated track and field from a young age, while in college at the Big Ten Championships, Owens set 3 world records and tied a 4th in less than 1 hour. Owens is widely remembered as the nation's greatest Olympian.
Sponsored by the Alabama Bicentennial Commission, the ABA, and this station.
Coach Nick Saban.
Helping children is very important to Miss Terry and me. As parents, it saddens us to know that there are more than 5,000 children in foster care in Alabama. These children need loving, nurturing families to care for them. We ask you to join the team and become champions for children by opening your heart, opening your home, and becoming a foster or adoptive parent.
For more information, call 1-866-4AL-KIDS. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Coming up next, it's the Tom Abraham Show with me, Tom Abraham. Now back to more Talking Ball with Scott and Drew.
All right, 8:27, we talked about it going to break. Starkville has probably been partying since last week. They ramped up the celebration on Friday with their parade. They probably still have not stopped the celebration, coming off the school's first ever national championship. That coming last week in baseball as the Bulldogs downed Vanderbilt at the College World Series. What a week it has been, and it'll be ongoing for Mississippi State.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's been so cathartic because this is a great program. As Steve has told us many times, our next guest, Mississippi State's a baseball school, and now they have climbed the mountain. They are national champions. They bring home another title for the SEC and the first in the history of their school. That was the most fun I had. I was just sitting there watching. And boy, I had to work too because my cable had somehow not had ESPN2 working, so I got it to work on my phone so I could at least watch it, what I thought was going to be a historic night for Mississippi State baseball, and it certainly was. And, of course, our next guest, he is a published author, and he's going to add to that arsenal very soon, I'm sure. Just recently published a book of poetry, has had 3 other works at the top or near the top of the bestseller list in Mississippi. And I'm going to tell you what, the baseball work that I'm sure he's going to get underway soon will probably eclipse all of that, just simply because of the magnitude of this championship. And, of course, we're talking about Steve Robertson, the co-publisher of genespage.com. Steve, I'm sure you had the best 4th you've had in maybe ever. But welcome back to the show. And, again, congratulations to the Maroon and White. What a 2 weeks it was for Mississippi State.
It absolutely was. I mean, and it's like I even tweeted out, it's like, so this is what this feels like. I mean, it's like, there's been so many times Mississippi State's been awfully close to getting there and never seen the end of the promised land. And you finally see it happen. And it just, it just kind of changes everything. I mean, it's like Mississippi State has always been known for, great facilities and great fan support and having really good baseball teams. But I think at the end of the day, most Mississippi State fans will agree we always knew something was missing, and now that piece is finally in place, and that's a national championship.
Before we break down to the game, before we break down everything in Omaha, what's the atmosphere been like in Starkville?
Yeah, I mean, what was the parade like and then the celebration at the stadium?
This national championship.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, goodness, I can't go anywhere. It's like people are so excited. Everywhere you go, people want a picture, want to say hello, and I think people are a lot more patient these days. And I tell you what's crazy. There's a couple of local sports shops that kind of specialize in Mississippi State merchandise. They've had to close their doors and operate basically to get their online orders done.
Wow.
So,
crazy.
You can't go into the store and physically buy a shirt off the rack. You have to call them or go online to order because they just don't have enough staff because, most students are gone, right? And
yeah.
So I went down to sign some books. My new book, Bloomsville Leander,
yeah.
They've got a bookstore downtown that handles all personalizations. Well, of course, I was gone for 2 weeks, and so the very first day I'm back, was full day was Friday, and that was the day of the celebration. So I go down there, and it is absolute chaos down there. I mean, it's like people are really patient with each other. It's like everybody kind of understands the big rush, and they cannot get national championship shirts out of the box before people are grabbing them and wanting to go to the register. I mean, it is remarkable to see this.
Yeah, it's crazy. And to go back, Steve, if you could have envisioned it, and I know you kind of helped paint the picture for us, coming on with us a couple of times during your stay in Omaha, but as I watched the game unfold, the championship game with Bednar, Landon Sims, and then offensively what they were able to do, and then to go through the 2 weeks and not make an error defensively, I thought for a final game of a season, that was as close to a perfect game as we've ever seen. The thing that I started getting excited for is I really thought that we were going to see a no-hitter in the championship game.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And I think, too, it's so unlike Mississippi State. And what I mean by that is we always joke about, it's the most Mississippi State thing ever. And it's usually because State gets beat or beats somebody on something that's kind of weird. It's
right.
Just like, I think most Mississippi State people kind of holding their breath, and then that was an absolute domination in every sense of the phrase. And you beat the defending national champion, best 2 out of 3, in Omaha, a team that's kind of had your number the last couple of years, and you outscore them in the final 2 games 22-2, and they get 1 hit in game 3 when the national championship's on the line. So they didn't leave any doubt. And I think that's one of the things that has even made this more euphoric for State fans is that there was nothing cheap about it. They went in there and dominated the defending national champs.
Yeah, they really did. They dominated it really from start to finish the last 2 games. Steve, I've got to ask you this. You could probably write a book just about that 8th inning against Virginia. As it started unfolding, during the first week, and they came back in game 2, because we had you on, I think, the morning before that game, I started thinking to myself, they were being no-hit late in the game in the 8th inning, and they come back to win it 6-5. That's when I started thinking that this might be the year for Mississippi State. And in your mind, I know you've seen a ton of baseball from the Maroon and White. Was that probably the biggest half inning in Mississippi State history?
Yeah, I think one could make that case because, as you mentioned, they're absolutely getting dominated. And then next thing you know, there's a couple of home runs hitting the inning. And when that ball left the bat of Tanner Allen, there was no doubt the State was going to win the game. I mean, State goes up, and Scotty DeBrule, of course, adds on an insurance run that proves to be the game winner. But the momentum in that stadium, the countenance of the people involved in the ball game completely changed after that Kellum Clark home run. Kellum Clark breaks up a no-hitter with a 2-run home run, and it really had Virginia reeling. And then you got great leadership, and you got a clutch guy like Tanner Allen, the National Player of the Year, steps up there and hits the biggest home run of his life, keeps State in the winner's bracket. But, yeah, I agree with your summation there. That could arguably be the best home half of an inning that Mississippi State has had. And there were a lot of big things like that. I mean, just like, Braylon Skinner stealing that base against Texas to set up a walk-off. I mean, it's the biggest stolen base in Mississippi State baseball history. You bring in a guy that doesn't even stretch. Next thing you know, he's still in second and scores on a walk-off. It's just, the crazy things happen. And you have to have some things like that happen in order to win a national championship.
I mean, and you look at Chris Lemonis coming in. I mean, he came in at a time where Mississippi State baseball, he comes in a difficult situation a couple of years ago. It wasn't
with Canizero having to be dismissed.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy situation for him to come in, and he's endured himself now in the lore, living in the same neighborhood as the Ron Polk, legendary head coach. But still, I mean, what he's been able to do to adhere himself to Mississippi State fans has been remarkable.
It has been, and I tell you the thing about Chris, and life has a funny way of working sometimes. John Cohen came out and said, "Hey, listen, when we got ready to launch a coaching search, we're going to spare no expense. We're going to go out and try to get the best coach in baseball." So you run it Dan McDonald, you run it Tim Corbin, you talk to a few other people around there, and you hire Chris Lemonis. And there were a lot of people that said, "Hey, well, John kind of under-delivered here. He kind of paint himself in a corner, and you go get the coach from Indiana." And it proved out to be the best thing that ever happened because Chris Lemonis' value system kind of mirrors what we have here at Mississippi State. His dad is a Mississippi State grad, so he understands what baseball means to the Mississippi State fan base. And Chris and I have had some conversations about this, and he says one of the things about Mississippi State that makes it such an attractive job is because it matters to people. Like when you play in some of these schools, I mean, you may have 200 or 300 people in the stands on a weekend ball game around the country. You kind of Mississippi State, I mean, it's 12,000, 13,000 people every single weekend per game. And so this is the big time. And I think Chris is the guy that needed Mississippi State, and Mississippi State needed him. And I had a chance to talk to Dan McDonald in Omaha, and he kind of slyly looked at John Cohen, and he goes, "You know what? I told you he was a superstar before he was a superstar, and look at him now."
Yeah, no question. And now, wouldn't you want to be his agent? He's got to be having a big raise coming down the pike.
Well, they were already working on that.
Yeah, and now it's gone to the next level.
Exactly. Yes, now the Chris and his agent now are probably, their work is kind of done for them. It's like, hey, we won the Natty, the first one in school history, so give me a check, So, and it's so richly deserved. The entire staff will get raises, and I can promise you there is nobody in the Mississippi State fan base that has a single objection to that.
No, none at all. And now, does Tanner Allen and is he, with the performance he had in Omaha and then being Player of the Year this year, I know Jake Mangum meant so much to the fan base, but is Tanner Allen on that short list of guys that's on the Mount Rushmore of Mississippi State baseball?
Well, I think he has to be now. He's won
that huge home run.
Yeah, and so it's so interesting too. I've talked to some of our fans, and I make myself available to these people because these are the people that I care about. This is my target audience. I'm not looking to go cover the Miami Heat or the LA Dodgers. I want to cover Mississippi State. And so they're always like, well, what are we going to do now that TA and Rowdy are gone? I said, well, we're going to do the same thing we did when Brent Rooker left. We're going to do the same thing we did when Jake Mangum left. Because that's the thing is this is not a team. This is a program. And there's a culture here. And I did the research when I was in Omaha because I was sitting in the hotel room looking for something to write about it. Mississippi State has gone to Omaha with 6 different coaches, which is the highest in the SEC. Only Florida's close with 4. State's had 6 different coaches. And so this is not a coach who has created a program. This is a program that has made coaches over the years because the fan support here is just ridiculous. and the commitment from the university is really unparalleled in college athletics. And so this is a destination-type job that has a fan base that expects to win and then involves themselves in that process by coming and participating in ball games. And so, we really believe the best is yet to come. I mean, State always had the culture and the commitment. Now we've got the coach.
Well,
yeah, it's just hard to believe that this is still the first ever national championship for a Mississippi State program on any level.
Yeah, who you tell, brother? I mean, yes, I laugh about that stuff too. It's like, for all these years, State, and I think people will admit this, in some ways State was kind of a punchline. And I can say that because I'm a State guy, but it's like, oh, they got this great stadium and they got all these attendance records, but they can't win the big one. We don't have to listen to that anymore. I mean, that is Florida State and Florida State's alone now. We're all set to win. And so,
yeah, that's right.
So, and that, you look back and say, well, Clark and Palmero didn't do it, Mangum didn't do it. But TA and Rowdy have done it. And, the bottom line is that now State's won one. I think it kind of reminds me, too, of like when, hopefully you get these same kind of results. LSU, before Skip Bertman got there, had a real identity crisis when it came to baseball. And then Skip made them believe. And I love that hold the rope SEC story they did. I love what Skip Bertman's done at LSU, but he kind of did it at Mississippi State's expense. But once they won it and kind of believed they could, then all of a sudden you began to get there with greater regularity and competing for national championships. And I believe now that State's kind of gotten across the threshold, you're going to see something. I don't know if it mirrors the LSU run by any stretch, which is one of the greatest in college baseball history, but I don't think fans are going to have to wait another 132 years to get a second championship in Mississippi State.
Oh, of course not. And then you look at John Cohen. He's followed in the footsteps of Skip Bertman, who became the AD at LSU and then retired. Ray Tanner has done the same thing at South Carolina after he won back-to-back titles. Now, his tenure is right now in question, how much longer it may be at South Carolina due to the struggles in other sports. But John Cohen, right now, he looks like a genius for hiring Lamonis. And then they've brought in Mike Leach. I would think right now this is as strong a position as he's ever been in as AD.
It's pretty close. I mean, we had back-to-back years where you had a record number of athletic programs go to postseason play, and so we're really just a couple years removed from that. And then now you hire Chris Lamonis and he wins a national championship, and that it's kind of hard to argue against the guy pushing the buttons up there right now because he's giving you something you've never had before. And it's not just the winning aspect of it, but there's just a pride that's been instilled in Mississippi State athletics that people are happy to get out and go wear their maroon and white, and that's a big part of it too. I mean, you don't want people that are going to embarrass the university or embarrass the things that you're passionate about. And that's when I look at the Mississippi State administration. We talk about John Cohen, but Dr. Mark Keenum is a guy that's a bulldog. He went to Mississippi State. John Cohen played at Mississippi State. So you've got two people there in charge of the purse strings that understand what Mississippi State fans are willing to expect, but also what they deserve. And so they have committed themselves to ensuring that Mississippi State's able to compete at the highest levels, and now they've got a national championship to show for it.
Well, and we kind of buried them in the lead here. We've got to bring it up and get your thoughts about Pete Bednar and Landon Sims and what they're going to mean to State fans now going forward. I mean, neither one of them will ever have to buy a beer in Starkville ever again.
Oh, no, of course not. And what's interesting, I think one of the moments that people will remember is after the celebration on Friday, there's this picture that makes the round of Will Bednar out there, 2 hours after the celebration, just sitting on the mound, just kind of taking it all in, and it's like, listen, we all know he's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to go, but the guy is the greatest postseason pitcher in Mississippi State baseball history. He is now a legend, and Landon Sims is not draft eligible, so he's still got some room to run, but it's incredible to think about what that guy has done really in his first full season, and I won't be the least bit surprised if he's a weekend starter next year. I think that's a guy that has the stamina and the ability to do it, and it's crazy when you look at this team. You lose TA and Rowdy, but you bring back such a strong nucleus. I would say Mississippi State is very much in the mix next year to get back to Omaha, and then you never know what could happen.
No,
wow, that would be what, 4 straight trips?
Yeah, that'd be four straight. Yeah, I mean,
Mississippi State.
That's crazy. And then with Will Bednar, I'm glad you were able to clarify that. So he is draft eligible this year, Steve?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he'll come out and he'll be probably one of the first 15 players taken.
Yeah.
And listen, he was probably a fringe first-rounder going to Omaha. Now he's a no-doubt first-rounder.
Oh, there probably isn't anybody that's helped himself more. I mean, and being able to pitch on 3 days rest like that, his last 6 innings, giving up no hits. I thought it was just a phenomenal performance. And if it hadn't have been for that explosion to get the game to 9-0, he had already talked his way back into the 7th.
Yeah, he had. Yeah, and that's one thing to think about, too. It's like there's no way you're going to let him go to full 9 with what he has on the line, and especially on such short rest. But, it would have been amazing to no-hit Vanderbilt. But, just getting that one little hit back up the middle off Sims, I think it was in the 8th there. I mean, it kind of let people off the hook. But at the same time, too, it's like it doesn't erase the fact that State just absolutely destroyed Vanderbilt in every aspect of baseball in those last couple of ball games. And really left no doubt about who the better team was.
Oh, they did not at all. Well, Steve, we always appreciate it, man. You bring more knowledge from the maroon and white than anyone we have a chance to speak with, and it comes from the heart because we know you're very passionate about it. As you said earlier in the conversation, you want to cover Mississippi State. You do the best job of anyone, and we're looking forward so much to that work that I know you're going to begin soon. With this unbelievable moment, the biggest in Mississippi State athletic history. But let everybody know how to follow you. And I know that if the party is still ongoing in Starkville right now.
Yeah, I tell you this, I've got a lunch date every day this week. So it's like there's so many people that just want to sit down and talk. Hey, what's going on with the Omaha trip? But yeah, you can find me on all forms of social media at Scout Steve R. And of course, at genespage.com. And we're actually running a national championship discount, 60% off an annual subscription right now. So if you got Bulldog fans in the area that have considered subscribing, now is probably the best time of all time.
Oh, it probably is. We are next to an architecture firm, and at least 3/4 of them are State fans, so they're all on fire right now, sir.
Well, listen, you guys take care, and I appreciate you having me on as always.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Appreciate the time.
Steve Robertson with us on this Tuesday. Let's get a break in. When we come back, your tomorrow's headlines today.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's got a wreck in Athens on Hobbs, east of Shannon. Sounds like it's going to be a no injury. There is a city vehicle involved, though. I-65 at the 335-mile marker in Decatur. That one's a no injury. Single vehicle hit a guardrail. And we got a wreck on Danville near Modus that should be clearing pretty quick. It was a no injury. Snelling needs a warehouse associate, a receptionist, and an inside sales rep. All indicate huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye's Skywatch Traffic Center.
With an impressive roster of explosive young superstars and the reigning MVP, the Atlanta Braves are showing the East what they're made of.
Swung on and struck out towards deep right field, rising through the sky, back to the wall, bombs away.
Tonight, it's another Team National League battle for Atlanta as Freddie Freeman and the Braves take on the Pittsburgh Pirates from PNC Park. Braves Radio's on the air at 5:50 Eastern, 4:50 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Listen to the Tom Abraham Show.
And he loves fishing.
The average shift is 52 seconds. If you get into a minute 10, minute 12, your legs are burning because they get out there and they go like hell. You're talking about skating and doing the other, the stick handling and everything else, but your legs just are on fire because you go so hard.
As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey. I miss the Knicks.
Listen to the Big Dog, weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
In today's real estate market, you need the right professionals to help make sure your home purchase is smooth and hassle-free. That's where Jacob Title comes in. Stan McDonald and the staff at Jacob Title cater to the realtor and clients who are looking for a top-flight closing experience. Jacob Title uses the latest and best technologies to ensure a safe and secure exchange of funds, and they pride themselves on great communication well before and during the real estate closing process. Jacob Title in Huntsville and Madison, and online at jacobtitle.com. Nothing beats a great burger to help celebrate the 4th of July, and at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, we couldn't agree more. And if you haven't tried our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness, then head on down and try one of Bad Daddy's award-winning burgers now. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer. Celebrate your 4th of July and enjoy a little freedom from the grill with a trip to Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway between Bob Wallace and Governors.
256-576-4977.
Hold it, hold it!
That's 256-576-4977. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It is time for your tomorrow's headlines today, and it is Tuesday. So that means we turn it over to our good buddy Jordy, who's back with us in studio to help us with our tomorrow's headlines today.
All right, so Alabama basketball is starting to look a little bit like Alabama football right now with the roster turnover. Jaden Shackelford, guard from Alabama, he is officially entering the NCAA transfer portal, and he did that on Monday. So all 5 starters will be different than that Sweet 16 team that was in the NCAA tournament last year. So it's going to be interesting to see how Nate Oates handles this transition.
It is, Jordan, no doubt about it. I mean, they're going to have to – I've told some people already, like, who were dismayed at the new roster, so many guys being gone. But as I said to them, Nate Oates is recruiting at a level we haven't seen at Alabama, and you have to get used to it if you're this good with the way college basketball is set up with the transfer portal, with the one-and-dones and things of that nature. You're going to see, rosters change over. You're just going to have to keep recruiting, using the transfer portal like they have with Noah Gurley to your advantage. And, again, I think Alabama's still got a chance. I think they're going to be more talented, but are they going to have the chemistry of that experienced group from last year? But, yeah, great point.
All right, your other one?
All right, so we're gonna have some fun with this one since this is the big fight week going on. So we're gonna visit some history a little bit, revisit a little history. So back in 2016, when Alabama was preparing to play their first playoff game against Michigan State, Nick Saban stood in front of his team and he addressed the team before that game, and he quoted the great Conor McGregor, and he said, "We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over." And they blew right through Michigan State and then went on to beat Clemson. So I just thought it'd be a fun point with Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier coming up on Saturday. We'll see if Conor McGregor can take over again.
You're going to watch that one, Drew? You're going to watch the Conor? You have any interest in the Conor McGregor? This is third fight. This is the third fight. This is the trilogy between the two.
Who?
Nothing. No MMA stuff?
No.
Who is that guy?
Right.
I don't know. How much is the pay-per-view? Have we seen?
So I don't know exactly, but I believe like it's $60, and plus you have to pay ESPN Plus, so it's incredibly expensive.
No, ask LaDum James for a loan then.
So Drew is out on the. I don't know. My son is going to be interested in that. I know.
I mean, you could probably go to a local watering hole and watch it for free.
Right. And did you miss this? Did you guys pay attention to this? Because number one, ESPN had problems with it. And I saw there was a bunch of people on social media that commented on this over the weekend that part of it was blacked out.
Well,
or part
I
of
mean,
it went,
I
it was
haven't even been able to watch ESPN2 half the time. So, I mean, if it was on there, I couldn't have seen the stuff. Anyway, I know our good friend B. Rich was really
It was
not
the
happy
Nathan's
about
B.
this.
Rich. It was not the Nathan's B. Rich. It was the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. Okay, so it's at Coney Island. It's on the 4th of July. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you watch the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, and ESPN, like, all of a sudden went to bars and they lost the signal from Coney Island. And it was something. But Joey Chestnut wins it. 76 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes.
Well, that probably explains where all the buns went when I went to Walmart and everything. There was none to buy.
I mean, it wasn't even close. He blew everybody out. I mean, he's made nearly $2 million doing this. I mean, he's got 13 straight. Isn't that what it is, basically?
Now, though, did you hear Joey Chestnut's introduction to the hot dog eating contest?
No, because half the people probably couldn't even watch it.
All right, here's how they introduced Joey Chestnut.
What greater fortune have we in an endless universe of infinite matter and energy? We have been given consciousness to gaze upon it all and understand. What greater fortune have we to live in America, to stand side by side on the 4th of July, to behold this man? What greater fortune? Like the force of life itself, he is written on the world. A belief etched in the shining machinery of our minds. Immune to the vagaries of time. Forever entwined in the grip that binds our atoms together. And when history collapses and existence has no meaning, he will still stand for his obligation.
What in the hell is that, and how much longer was it? For crying out loud!
I want an introduction.
That was like something out of Tron. What the hell was that?
I want an introduction like that.
I mean, I don't need the Tron music. Good Lord.
Now that's the Conor McGregor
and the infinite universe. That sounded like something where that idiot McGregor would be, how he would be introduced. I mean, are you kidding me? Good night.
I'd eat 77 hot dogs with an introduction like that, though, for real.
76 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes.
Oh.
10 minutes, 76 hot dogs.
I mean, the guy's unstoppable, okay? I understand that, but my goodness, does he deserve a 5-minute introduction or 10 minutes or whatever the hell that was?
He bested his record.
That's a record, yeah. I mean,
by 2020, by one. He ate 75 in 2020. He ate 74 in 2018, 72 in 2017. In 2006, he started the climb. In 2007, he ate 66 hot dogs. It's the 6th straight title and 14th of his career.
Well, he basically just destroyed Kobayashi.
Kobayashi's gone. I mean, because of there was a national, because this is there is a national pro eating league.
Yeah, there is.
Where you go through, and I believe Chattanooga has the crystals.
Oh, I don't even want to know.
I believe Chattanooga has the crystals competition. How many? I forget what it is. How many crystals you can eat in X amount of minutes?
Yeah. It's interesting. I know there's been a documentary about it. I've seen a
the
little
Professional
bit about
Eaters League is what I believe they call it.
Yeah. Congrats to Joey, even with his stupid introduction.
Come on, you know you want an introduction like that.
No, I really don't. I mean, I do a good job introducing people, but not for 5 freaking minutes with Tron music. But we appreciate Jordy for joining us in the studio. We appreciate Steve Robertson. We appreciate all of our listeners. And, of course, we appreciate John Garcia. Great conversation as we're back at it.
We are. Tomorrow's the halfway point of the week. Just like that, we're at the halfway point. We haven't even tried.
Right.
And tomorrow we'll have our Wednesday show, 7 o'clock. Wake up with us. Everybody, play safe, be safe. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
With an impressive roster of explosive young superstars and the reigning MVP, the Atlanta Braves are showing the East what they're made of.
1-1 on the way. He connects it. It's a high fly ball to deep right field, way back towards the seats, and this ball is gone!
Your new home of the Atlanta Braves.
Hit high.